Andrew, you got anything that you want to add to this?
About Foxbody.
Andrew, what are you doing? I think I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this, what we learned tonight. That'll be something good. As many times as we've talked about this, it still needs to be talked about. We've talked about idle issues a million times on this channel, but it's like no matter how many times we deal with these cars, no matter how long we've had them and messed with them, we always find something new, right? This car has been custom tuned, and it's a good tune. The car runs great, but occasionally we have some idle swings. Even with a custom tune, you still have obligations. You still have things that you're probably going to have to do on your end to make your car work right. And most of this stuff should be ironed out whenever you're doing your tune, when you're getting your tune made. But let's say you accidentally change the setting on your idle screw or something, right? And you think you put it back where it's supposed to be. We thought that our idle screw on the throttle body was good on this car. Well, like I said, we were having idle swings. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and start the car up, and then we'll get into this a little bit better. Go ahead and start it up, Andrew. All right, one more time. I just wanted to prove the point here. So let's say that you took your throttle body off to reseal it. Or let's just say that maybe your idle screw down here on your throttle body has come loose, which happens a lot on some of these things. I think when you have a car that's been custom tuned, they're even more sensitive and temperamental than a factory car. Don't you agree? Papa T's car is bone stock. It's got stock computer and it has no tune. What it has is an FMU. And that thing controls fuel pressure based off of vacuum and boost. This car has been custom dyno tuned by Leach Motorsports, which Leach does an awesome job with these cars. There's no doubt about it. But apparently at some point I have messed up the throttle position on this car. So a good example is this. Your tuner will set your target RPM, your idle RPM, okay? So they'll go in and they'll set this. I think ours is set at like 850 or something like that, maybe 800. If you go above that and you idle your idle screw up too much, and let's say you're at that 850 mark or maybe just above it at 900, now the car is trying to pull itself down. So the idle air control is going to do a job, right? It's got a job to do and it's going to do that. Well, now your car is freaking out and it's trying to pull itself down. Rule of thumb is on an idle air control, you get your throttle blade up where you want it so that you get the idle that you desire, so that your idle air control is not having to do as much work. Typically around 30% or less is somewhere in that area, at least, is where Matt likes to see the idle air control. You don't want it working too hard and overcompensating. In other words, while your car is idling, if you were able to look at your idle air control duty cycle, you don't want to see this thing up in the 40s and 50%. That means that the idle air control is having to open up so much to let air come through to keep your car idling at the RPM that you desired, right? That's typically not a good thing. What you want is somewhere around like maybe 15 to 30%, 35%, somewhere in there. Don't quote me on those numbers, but you get what I'm saying. Be mindful with a tuned car that they may be more temperamental than a car that's pretty much stock that doesn't have a tune. That's all I want to leave you guys with. But I think we've got this one sorted out now. But we'll see. You know, I mean, stuff happens. Guys, if you own a Foxbody or anything that's ever been custom dyno tuned and it's got a bunch of aftermarket stuff on it, you're gonna have anomalies. There's just things that are gonna happen. Let's say you have this issue, okay? Whether your car's been tuned or not. I'll tell you what we do to find this. So typically you're gonna need somebody to help you out. Get in the car, have them start it up, and you're gonna lower your idle down to really about desired. If it's tuned to idle somewhere around 800 RPM, get this thing down around 600 or 700 RPM. All right, get it a little bit less than your desired idle. Plug your idle air control up, go ahead, let it do its thing. And the way I do it is it's not an actual base idle reset per se. What we'll do then is we'll cut the car off, we'll unplug the idle air control, and then switch the car on. At this point, the car realizes that it doesn't have the idle air control plugged in. So it's going to essentially recalibrate, if you will. So switch car off, plug it back in, and then start it up. That's the quick and dirty as to how we do it. Now you can argue that if you want to, because I know people will. They say, well, that's not correct. Well, what I do is I tell you what works, okay? This works for us. It worked no problem today, and that's what's got this car doing good. I tell you guys these things because I want to help you out. Because if you're struggling with your car and you can't figure it out, and, you know, and you're looking online, sometimes you got to look somewhere else besides the book. I can promise you, me and Andrew have tried about everything that there is to try on these things, and sometimes it doesn't make sense, does it? Sometimes we do the weirdest thing and it'll work. So here's what I'm telling you guys: try a couple different approaches with your idle. See what works for you. I know there's a lot of you guys out there still fighting with the swing and idle. Andrew, did you get that thing figured out yet?
Hell no.
You've been working on it for like 3 hours, bro.
I think I made it worse.
You gonna go take a bath?
Yeah.
You need to take a bath. Look at you.
Smell like dirt.
But Mama won't take me a bath.
Mama won't take you a bath? Okay, I'll be in there in a minute, baby. Is there anything else that we need to talk about along these lines? Let's think about this.
I don't think so.
Anything that we can think of that'll help people. I'll mention the timing deal as well. Make sure that your timing's correct. If these cars have been tuned, your tuner's going to tell you to put your timing at 8 degrees, 10 degrees, 12 degrees, 11, whatever the case may be. Make sure that you are verified and that you're on the correct timing. Also, if you've not been tuned, maybe bump your timing down a little bit to maybe around 12 degrees. If you're somewhere around 14 to 16 degrees, because I know some of you guys are, maybe bump it back down to around 12 or so, somewhere in there. Sometimes too much timing will cause these things to surge. Also, check your fuel pressure. If you got too much fuel pressure, these things do not like a hot start with a lot of extra fuel. They don't need it, and that can also cause issues.
Are you taking me a bath?
In a minute.
Okay.
Go inside. Get out of my face. All right, so we just put a new SVE radiator in this car, and I want to give you guys an update on it. How is it cooling? We also went in and straightened out the fins on the condenser, so now this thing is really pulling air through. So let's talk about that real quick. First things first, you guys need to know that my gauge is not correct. I have the typical Foxbody issue to where whenever you turn your lights on or any accessories, you can see it move already. It'll actually raise up. Here's the deal though. This thing used to run up to the last green line on my gauge here is where it would run. The car still wasn't actually hot, overheating, but that's where it would run. Now look where we're at with this. Let's go ahead and start it up. I hate to show you the new radiator and then show you that the gauge is high, but that is normal. Andrew can tell you. And if you guys have been watching the channel, you know. I don't think we're going to have any overheating issues. And I've also had a couple people ask, why do I not run a transmission cooler? This particular car has a lockup converter in it. You don't really have to run a transmission cooler with a lockup converter. But it is advised. I mean, you can. It's not going to hurt anything, but this car runs fine. No issues there. So that's why we're not doing it. Plus, I don't like all the extra stuff underneath the car. It's just something else that could leak and cause problems. Andrew, you got anything that you want to add to this?
The Don't buy a Foxbody if you want it to idle right.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope that this video helped you guys. I want to continue to give you as many tips and as many tricks on these cars as I can. When we run across these issues, I'm gonna share them with you. Catch you guys in the next one, and as always, thanks for watching.